Hey guys, yeah, 2 o'clock. Welcome back in as we head to the end of the day, which is going to be an eventful one. I'll tell you why here in a second. We are seeing the market kind of pairing some of the gains that we saw initially today. I'm keeping my eye on this Meta event that continues. Day 2 for the Meta Quest event still underway. They're talking AI right now, or more AI, in addition to what was said yesterday for Meta. So we'll see if anything comes of that. This is the US dollar. Right now, I'll start with this because we have Frank Caberna coming up this afternoon. He's going to touch on this. He's going to touch on yields as well. 10-year back to basically flat on the day after just a monster day again yesterday. 30-year highest level since 2010 early on this morning, and has since paired some gains. But this is the dollar right now. Still a red day, but definitely pairing some of the declines that we saw early on. Yeah, this is coming up this afternoon, so 4 p.m. Get your popcorn ready and get set, because there's going to be a Q&A involved in this. So he's going to do a town hall with teachers and answer some questions in regards to policy, what's going to happen going forward in the coming months. I'm sure he'll be asked about everything when it comes to the GDP number. Even this morning we're going to get PCE tomorrow, his favorite reading. That's the S&P 500, if you're wondering. Still very mixed day, a lot of green on this board, but definitely weakness in individual areas, including energy pulling back with the US dollar downside today. Typically move hand in hand. Some of the utility names I noticed down here as well. Definitely negative on the day, as are some of the pharma names. Tech mostly positive across the board. NVIDIA, AMD, wow, 5%, better part of 5% there. Huge day for AMD. Intel, AVGO, to name a few. Micron we'll touch on off of earnings. Google, Meta, Oracle, Cisco, and Microsoft all positive as well. So plenty of green. Market's still positive, but as I mentioned, we are pairing some of the gains that we saw early on this morning. That's Meta right now. I mean, back below 303. Yeah, dollar treasury yields all retreating right now. Still listening to this event, but nothing terribly exciting coming from it, guys, when it comes to Meta. If you're with us in the pre-market, we were discussing a whole bunch of things, including Micron coming off their report last night. I mean, the numbers, Neil and I kind of touched on it during lunch money today at 12 o'clock, but it was the forecast that was an issue. Anytime you guide downside the way they did, going to be a problem here. Micron trying to bounce, but difficult day here, guys.
Yeah, Micron holding down 4.5%. I mean, the story with, realistically, the story with all of these chip names was almost begins and ends with AMD in the run that it had. But Micron was the one that had the bad report, at least the bad guide. It wasn't all that bad of a report, depending on your perspective with it. But it has looked to give back almost all the gains where a day where the market's rebounded. So you're making a higher low, and you are on Micron as well, but just look at it. It did the nice relief rally, and now you're absolutely flushing to the downside. If the market's going to hold 14.8 in the NASDAQ, this could be worth it. Like, I was shorted underneath at 65. It was getting down to 64.5 and started bouncing. Made sure I stopped out at the quarter mark to preserve. But if it holds 65 here, I suppose that would be the line. Like, that was the area I liked short. That's exactly where it looked like it turned around. If you look at a trend line, it is trending up on the daily, so it's not really all that bad. A bit of a double bottom here at 65. Maybe if this gets above VWAP, it would look a little more interesting. But like the story in chip land, man, it's about AMD. Like, this is AMD today. Like, an absolute, like, you're down 4.5% on Micron. You're up 4.5% on AMD. That's what I mean about AMD being the big runner, the big breakout. It's consolidation above 100. I like the 103. Had that short, took another shot at the half. It then ended up wicking the 104. I know that's what we talked about during lunch money, but I was away from my desk when it happened. And I think that, like, now 103 looks like resistance on AMD. Like, if this is rolling over, it's hard to get behind the notion of trying along in Micron if AMD's pulling back and NVIDIA's pulling back. So if the market were to find a bid, maybe you take a shot at Micron catching and holding that 65. But as I look at AMD, this 103, we're right back in here from the earlier in the morning. Impressive, impressive day. And it wasn't like there was a news story behind AMD that we could figure out. It just looks like it was a technical break to the upside.
It's too bad because we were short a hell of a lot of shares at 104 and then it broke and we had to get out. But shout out to my main guy, Nimit, over there, man. Awesome. Glad you're awake with us right now over there in Singapore. But hey, we've got $4 in the money right now on Meta. So it just sucks that we took a lot of them out here at 305 again, but there's a 304, there's a 304 exactly, sorry, that's 304.50, 304, and now you're right down here at VWAP. So, you know, we take some out at 304, that's 305, that's 304, so, you know, taking $1, taking 50 cents, you know, but still holding now for all the way back on VWAP. So it's just funny, because Nimit's like, oh my God, the market's, you know, up and you're short, but it's just a matter of timing, right? We went to that 15, basically 15,000. We went to 14.9, right? 14,960. Yeah, Micron, you heard Adara say it on the midday show after Sharif was talking to her about it, and I don't really trade names on earnings. I don't really, you know, I mean, I guess once it settles down, there's some validity there. Like this pre-market level came in, you know, but I probably get stopped out if I short that, but it bounces off 67 just a little bit. I picked my poison all over the place today. The only real big loser we have on is AMD, and look at this, man. This is just, like, guys, we were like inches from having just an absolute, like, stink-faced monster on, because, like, honestly, like, this was, like, we got stopped out. Like, we were short a lot of shares. Let's put it that way. Like, here it is, man. We take some shares there. These are short at 103.75. So these outs 103.40. We just got out, you know, 50 periods, so on and so forth. Took it again, got some out, but was like holding, waiting for this to happen. But it just spiked up there, tipped us out at 104. And the thing about it is that we already chased the short early on this name. And, you know, join me tonight, because we've learned more and more. Like, we got out of there at 100 when it broke, but we've been saying this ever since time here. Actually, it's not even on the sticky note today, but yesterday we talked about being short until it broke through 100 bucks. It does that today, and then just rippy face off all the way to the upside there. Look at me, look at the discipline. Like, definitely a changed man. Like, we would have been shorting all this, but we did not. We were very, very patient. And guys, we were, like I said, 20 cents away. If that does not break 104, it's a completely different animal for me today. But what it did wind up making me do was get back over into Meta. So it's kind of about the same time there. So now that this Meta Connect is going, I'm just going to use this 303.50, the 50-period moving average. We'll just keep on watching it. So we'll put a stop in. I mean, my stop is in right now for Meta. 306.50 is my stop. So, I mean, I'm telling, this is what it's in there right now. So we have a stop at 306.50. We're short at 306.10. So 40-cent stop for a $4 winner. So that's another 10-to-1 on that one. So, you know, good so far. I think it's about time we think about taking our last piece out if we break the 50 period. So we're going to talk about Meta at the end. So that's okay. 303.50 out on Meta.
All right, let's talk about Peloton here, and Lululemon ends up being a bit of a fade throughout the day, right out of the gate, in fact. 550 was the high in the pre-market there. We come all the way back to almost 450, so gives it all back, but still a nice deal for Peloton teaming up with Lulu.
Yeah, I was trading this one the entire show on the midday. $5 resistance level, you saw that. Still dancing with it right now, but let's see why it's up. The companies Lulu and Peloton announcing a 5-year deal together. Essentially what Lulu is going to be is they're going to be the exclusive active wear provider, while Peloton will get access to the 13 million members that use the Lulu exercise app. And essentially also that will end the mirror experiment that Lulu has been doing since basically the pandemic. They're going to stop selling it at the end of the year, but for those ones that still are around, they're going to have access to all of Peloton's exercise videos and live streams. So good luck there. We'll see what they do the next few days.
Struggling at $5 currently, guys. Just FYI, that Meta event still underway here this afternoon.
Yeah, still going. I mean, we'll see how long they go on with that. But Peloton, it's a story that I think everybody was like, okay, pretty good for them, pretty useless is not, that's too extreme a word. Pretty much nothing burger for Lululemon. And in front of Nike earnings, is it really going to move the needle for Lululemon? Who's going to want to go heavy in that the day before a bigger shoe is about to drop on them? So that's probably why you don't see anything happen in Lulu. Peloton, decent short float. I think that's where everything started with the notion of liking the long. Obviously, it was kind of a downward trend, so you had to pick your spots. But if you looked at 2 days before, you had a double top at 480. And then if you zoom out a little bit further on the 15-minute, you had this above the 480 level. You had a clear kind of gap fill right to a clean $5 level. So that's the two places I liked it. Had it in the pre-market off the 5. It could not break the channel up, which is about 520. It then broke that, filled 480. Again, could not break 520. Stop out underneath. It wasn't until it was back above 480 that I got into the long, and it got back above 480. Could not take out 5. Got in and out flat. That was mostly a keystroke error. Misplaced to stop, got filled long, got out instantly when I wasn't even at the desk. But I think 480's reestablished itself here, which is pretty solid. And then it's struggling this $5 level. So it's the same 2 key prices, and then throw in 520. Every 20 cents is a scalpable range today on Peloton if you're looking for the long. Obviously, you could have played that in either direction. Like, you could have said, I'll turn those levels around and short 520. Short 5 even through, short 480 through, and that all would have worked as well. So it starts with a key price level. I just favor positive catalyst, decent short float to look for the long. Because if you're sitting in it, there's an odd chance that it could squeeze, and then if it does, you can be holding a piece. So it's not necessarily a home run, but I would not write it off. It's holding above that key 480. It's having a chance to break that $5. Still got a decent short float, and it is a positive catalyst for them. Latching themselves to the best brand in fitness is not going to be a bad thing when the stock has been a gigantic quadroon for the last 2 years.
Okay, look, Peloton, again, if you're looking for, how do we make the watch list? How do you make a sticky note? How do you get prepared? Go over, find my at TraderTV, Sean. We have the ultimate trader prep checklist right here. Go check it out. And then shout out to my daughter here. They won silver. She's in here somewhere. And then let's go over here. Like, look what we wrote down right here on this. What does this say? Peloton 480 long. So we talked about that. And then if you're a PDT or you're just looking to make a real simple trade, that's what this is all about. There's 480. So like, we have pretty much the bottom of the day on Peloton and then the top. Like, we got out above the 200 period at 522 today. So that was 480 up to 522. We hold a little bit. Actually, we got out. We got back in when it came back to 480. Then it broke through and we got out. So back in, back out. We don't have that very bottom wick, which is good 460, thank God. But yeah, Peloton going to sleep right now. Look, it's just a one-hit wonder right there. Bang, bang, you're done. You could be done trading, go on the beach and relax at 9:51 today. So there it is. Bang, boom. That's it. One trade, you're done. Peloton, thank you. We'll see about it tomorrow on a day 2 play. But that's why it's all about the watch list. It's all about the sticky note. It's all about pre-trade prep. And if you had that 480 listed down, then you got it. It came in, and boom. My first take was 490. Then there's the 482 or something like that. And then there's the move all the way up. So it's kind of just pretty simple to start off with. If we broke that 480, we probably would have get out 470. So well worth it, nice risk to reward, and that's what it is. We have some more hitters coming from the sticky note as well. But let's go to the next topic. Nio and Mercedes.
Yeah, that Nio initially came out and said not true, gave zero explanation as to why. But the headline was, yeah, they were in initial exploratory talks on a technology deal with Mercedes-Benz. Again, Nio came out and then said, no, we're not. Stop lying. But here's 5% and change for Nio today.
Yeah, they were looking for money, cash injections, well, the report says, from Mercedes-Benz in exchange for sharing technology. We know that Bloomberg had reported earlier in the week, they were seeking about $3 million from investors in the Middle East. So it looks like they're cash strapped, Brendo, or so the stories are going.
Yeah.
And they're looking for some financial support. So.
If you trust the market today, Nio coming out saying this is untrue is untrue in itself. So again, there was zero explanation behind why this is not true, but I don't know. Big day, guys, for Nio.
Ken or Ryan, only real people only use that. If you're using anybody else, it's not used.
Yeah, so now you're on air.
So this guy's trying to
right.
tell me he could beat me at Street Fighter.
There's a challenge happening right now. You're on camera. Give him the mic.
This is Ryan. How's it going, Ryan?
Ryan is the Day Trade the World floor manager and owner and operator, and he's just visiting the office and talking a lot of smack right now about Street Fighter and how it's like yada, yada, yada. You've never played in 20 years.
For sure.
I play the old school Street Fighter.
He's showing him a video like, look how good I am, apparently.
Street Fighter 6. Nah, forget it. I'll deal with you in normal Street Fighter, like
one of the
what is it called?
video games I'm actually good at.
It's just a newer version. Same controls, same.
Who's good at that? Sharif's good at Street Fighter?
I'm actually
nice.
quite good, he said.
Quite
We'll
good.
do one online. We'll do a competition online.
Challenge.
All right.
I'm okay with
We'll
that.
call you.
All right. Take it
Ryan,
Easy, brother.
thank you so much, Ryan.
Good people.
Smoke. I mean.
Oh, yeah, we're talking
I just
about
want
Neo.
all the smoke.
We're talking about Neo.
I want smoke in Mario Kart. I want smoke. But the thing about Mario Kart is my 11-year-old can dust me.
Kids are like it's.
That is over.
The difference is now is like when we grew up playing video games, like everything was
Yeah.
a little bit more simplistic,
Yeah,
right?
a
But
little.
now everyone grows up learning
I was playing
very
AB.
complex, like 8 million buttons.
Yes,
So by the
yes,
time you're like
yes,
10
yes.
years old, like if we grew up like that, we'd be fire too. Like I just grew up with like 3-button controllers. So what do you expect?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm
no,
just saying.
My son absolutely destroys me in all video games and would probably destroy, any 40-year-old.
Sharif's getting called out, by the way, because
For what?
Zippy Zane in the chat. This is not me, Sharif.
Zippy Zane?
Zippy
Is this what we're
Zane just
doing
said,
now?
Sharif said he don't play games. Ha ha, now he's good. So apparently, if you're saying that you don't play video games, now you can talk about how great you are. I'm just saying.
I don't
You
play
don't
video.
play video
I'm the
games?
same as Sharif. I don't play video games, but I'll still deal with people in Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat
Okay, Sharif.
or
Mortal Kombat.
or anything.
The Mortal Kombat, there was an arcade, no, it was an arcade. It was a convenience store next to our high school, and they had 2 games. And they had Mortal Kombat, they had NBA Jam.
Yeah.
Like those 2 are my ish. But then it's so different playing it on the arcade than it is trying to
Right,
roll.
yeah.
Like if you played NBA Jam and you were on fire in the arcade, it wasn't quite the same thing, trying to adjust to the controllers, but it is what it is. We're
Like
supposed
that dude might be able to beat me on
because he probably
PS5
plays it
or
every
something.
single day.
It's not, yeah.
He's probably playing it at the office.
I'm not trying to make excuses.
I'm
I'll
just
still
saying.
deal with him on whatever platform he wants, honestly. It doesn't.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be like that. But we are right now
Shout out
out
to
of
Duck Hunt.
Meta right now. So failed on Meta. Good trade. It took out 303.50. We got out. There's the 50 period. So we cracked out of Meta. Obviously, it's not going to have been, the 302 that we should have got on VWAP. But again, with the Meta Connect, what a difference a day makes. We're going to talk about this at some point. But yeah, coming up soon. So Meta today, good move. There it is. Yes, this would be every single person would be Chun-Li right there. And then the uppercut's coming, I imagine. Yep, something
There it
like
is.
that. Yeah, my combo would have been better than that. But there we go. Thank you so much. As we're probably going to get some sort of copyright infringement now, so why don't we get rid of that?
It felt like that was over our, what is it, 10
feel
seconds
like
that
might
we're
have
allowed
been
to
over
play
the 10
that?
seconds, but that's the classic. That's what I remember, like E-Honda, Dalsum, Zangi, those kind of dudes, Vega.
No one's trying to use Zang. Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Some people like to use those characters, but
Yeah.
you get
Hadouken.
run with.
All right,
Chun-Li
let's
at least
go.
was legitimate.
We used to have. We don't have a Street Fighter. We used to have a Street Fighter.
No, we have this one. That's the one we have. That's where it's at.
Yeah, I don't mind that one.
Scorpion Sub-Zero. Although I'm a Sub-Zero person, I don't know why that's always been Scorpion. I specifically even said it's all about Sub-Zero, and Sub-Zero's the one losing there. Now, we're supposed to say something about Neo.
I thought we did already.
No, we didn't. I'm out of the Neo trade anyways. It's just, it got to $9 and trailed off $9. So remember, we were talking about this for lunch money. It was Neo breaking out. If you missed the breakout, buy the dip, get to $9. There has not been a $9 break. Obviously, the high of the day is $8.99. So 9 is looking like a little bit of resistance, the same way 16 is resistance right now on Palantir. The Chinese ADRs don't always move in the afternoon, but maybe off this 885. I was saying 880 during lunch money, and it got to 885 or 86. Not quite close enough for the dip buy, but a strong day and rebound for NIO. Good for them, right? Like it was really nasty a couple of sessions ago with the convertible bond, and since then, it's essentially been steadily running higher. Today was the breakout. Unlike Li Auto, this has been trending upside the last couple of days.
All right, let's move on. We'll touch on GME here. I was still watching Peloton. There was a little bit more volume there at $5 that went off, but nothing doing. GME, on the other hand, another one that gives it all back and then some. We're back to, I mean, a key area here. 17 ended up being resistance a couple of times. Yeah, Ryan Cohen in, CEO out, as we learned back in June.
Yep, I was about to say Matt Furlong got fired or was relieved of his duties by the board at that time, but essentially Ryan Cohen's been running it de facto since then. Last time around for earnings, they actually narrowed their losses, so the stock ran up. It was a better look for them. Let's see how they do.
BNOX doing some things again as well. Another crazy one today, guys.
Enox.
I just saw
I'm going long AMD, by the way.
Ani Zuka in the chat just said Nio to 100. By when? You name a date, and if I like it, I'm taking the other side of that. Neo's not getting to $100 by any reasonable time you put on that. It's not going to happen. I'm just saying. I'll eat a pineapple pizza as long as you put a reasonable date on that battle.
Well, what would be a reasonable date in your opinion?
You can't say like 2050. Like it's got to be at least within the next we call it like that. It's got to be at least within like a year or two. Like you can't be like 5-10 years.
It's
because then you're just like throwing. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna make a crazy statement, I have no issue.
It's not going to 100.
Yeah, 24.20. You should have at least said 24.69. That would have been better, crypto blogger. But GameStop, this is also not going to $100 anytime soon. I suppose they could do some kind of like a reverse split that would get it to them, but it doesn't matter. That's not going to happen. I felt as if it would have been more exciting if we could have had the squeeze through $19 today. You think? I was looking for a 19 breakout because for squeeze names, you want shorts to break key levels. It was an obvious clean level. I'm like, okay, you break 19, shorts are going to start covering. It's a 50 period on the daily, all that good stuff. And never once did it occur to me to short off that level this morning. So that's my story on GameStop and sticking to it. There was the wick off of the previous low. I think I missed. This is an opportunity that I missed right as we were going off air. Right at 11 o'clock. It's weird. Like at that time, get up, refresh the water, that kind of thing. And that's exactly when it made the hammer bottom. There's a chance this could break out this afternoon through 1710, but the volume is not very good for this breakout. Like it's not doing anything. But it looks okay for a little bit of a mini squeeze up if it can get through the 1710 area. It's just kind of a disappointment. Felt like this needed to take out 19, and when the buyers weren't there at the open, once again, Mr. Cohen does not provide the catalyst required.
No, we had it written down on this thing. You know, we took it early. We got it in. It was 25 cents in the money. We actually wound up taking 30 cents up there and get out at 90s there. And then it came back into 17. Well, it broke through 1750. We could have got out there for sure, especially when it bounced back up. That could have been taken out at 1770 once we realized our level didn't hold. But we averaged it in and got out at 1725. So, you know, net, it's a nothing burger today for GME. You know, again, this is why we sit here and try to take trades, is you don't know where it's going to go, especially early on. So just a quick little back and forth there. We were out of this trade by the time 10:15 hit. And again, up 30 cents, down 30 cents, and then stopped out basically on that reload. So not much happening for me on GameStop today, which is sad because I did think that there was a possibility. But you know, the good thing about it is it does touch 1650 and then hold. So it flushes down. So I'm still looking. And again, I apologize because I wish I could show you the chart back here, but I still think this 1680, 1670 level there will hold. I don't know. I guess I'll have to maybe log out and back in to get this refreshed. But down there, I feel like that's a good sign. Even though you did flush down, was a pretty dramatic move. But still, the hold was there. So, you know, maybe there's a long somewhere around 1650. We'll see if it gets back there. That would be something that I'd work on taking next time. 1650 long on GameStop. I like that trade. And that's okay. Oh, no, I just wanted to say, because we have a new position, everybody always wants to know what I'm getting into. So we just got in on a 200-period break right now for AMD. We just took 10 cents on 20%. That's it. I'm stopping doing that now. If we can get up here in the 30s, I think that's worth it. I'm going to be paying attention to down here, like these breaks, 50 break. So this is just a little small piece. Let's see if it continues to work. AMD, we're trying the long right here, although I'll just bring it up and it quadunks a bit, but AMD long for now.
I was just mentioning to Sharif, this JBL is just absolutely insane today. I brought this up this morning during the morning show when it was here, or just below that, last line in the sand on the daily chart. This thing's all-time highs and then some.
Wow.
Now up 19% off of earnings. Just absolutely monstrous today. For Jabal, but anyways. Meta event still going. They're talking AI currently. Definitely not as exciting as yesterday.
No. I mean, again, I haven't been able to keep my eye on it because we were on the midday show. But yesterday, many different announcements. Essentially, what you need to know about this is it's the merging of AI with the metaverse. We know Zuck has been spending billions of dollars per quarter on the metaverse. He's not about to give up, but AI is all the rave. So a good look from him in the year of efficiency. Don't forget about that, Brendo.
And no Zuck today, so no sell-off, I guess, for the stock during the event as well. I mean, it's not really doing much, just kind of hanging out here while they're still talking, guys.
Was a little bit of a sell-off there. from 306. Like, I don't know, I guess the event started at 1 or 1:30. So yeah, we're just kind of hovering around. It's unfortunate because we just touched again 302.60s there, 302.80s. We got out on a 50-period break higher there. So that's something that, again, we'll watch out for it. We'll see if we're able to catch something. Maybe a break back down there, but what a difference a day makes, man. I mean, yesterday we were very, very impatient with this, but we've adjusted, we've gotten much better, and there it is, man. So we just took $3 or $2.50 on that trade, right? So it was a good one. Meta, nicely in the pocket today. We're having a fantastic day, and so battled it back from yesterday. And that's sort of, we put out a tweet today. What else is new? But we put one out here today. So let's just go over. And I said if everybody wanted to read it, I feel like, we did talk through what happened yesterday. So yesterday we got hit on the Meta Connect. Today we put on our patience hat there, and then, wait for this short to hit. So we were very, very patient with it. We waited for some key levels to come through, and then we were rewarded all day with this short. So although we're out of it, we got to have outs at some point. Just feel like, you learn your lesson every single day, and that's what it's about as a trader, right? Is that you want to just make more money today than you did yesterday, but also learn from your lessons, and the money will come, hopefully, from proper trading and proper strategies, and just following what you do best, and that's what we're doing here right now today, being patient about it, hella green, and we'll see what happens here. Like yesterday, we were the worst in the office. Today, we're the first. So, you go, that's the scale, that's the life of a trader, right? I think I was the worst anyways, but anyways, that's the scale, and you got to take the good with the bad. And you guys have had bad days before, I'm sure, and yesterday was one of those days for me. It was only really on Meta. We were able to make money back on Microsoft and all that, but still, back in the saddle today feels pretty good.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think I've learned, and I think a lot of traders learn this, but like it seems obvious, but when key levels reverse, oftentimes it's like, okay, well, if your price level was right, but the direction was not right, then look in the other way. Because if you look at when the channel broke up here on Meta, when we broke the channel up here on Meta, you get through this 302. Look what happens. It turns into immediate support. Just zoom in here a little bit. So after breaking out, it comes right in there. 302 support once, 302 support twice. Now, maybe it breaks this to the downside. The market is bouncing from here. You do have to worry about the fact that the event is still on, obviously. But it is a bit of a double bottom on a bullish stock. My concern would be, well, if it was going to the downside here when they were doing the event, then what happens when they end it? A lot of times, I always think that when we have an event trading, or when you have Fed talking, whatever it might be, if it moves the stock in one direction, when it's over, you tend to get a bit of a pullback the other way. In this particular case, I think that could be a bounce. Maybe that's already happening, but watch out, alert to 302. It looks like that's going to be a bit of a level. I mean, I wasn't here to trade this. I can tell you most times I'm kind of happy that I wasn't, because I always look when a stock does this and breaks down, I'm generally thinking, look at the previous support to turn in resistance, and it looked like there was nothing doing when this got back to like 95 and 96. I mean, I wasn't sitting here, but one of the things I usually look for is a curl in this area where support would have turned into resistance on the way back up, and then try to capture a move back down. And that absolutely was not happening on the 15 minutes. I feel as if, like, I think I would have been in it. It's a matter of where I would have been able to get out yesterday. But it's a very bullish look to do a V shape like that, then break out the next day. And if that's what Meta's on, then this is a failed breakdown off the, potentially, I shouldn't say it's a failed breakdown, it's a potential failed breakdown off the 50 period, holding above 300. That could be pretty bullish. It was a stock that looked like it was rolling over, obviously, yesterday. For it to hold out, that's pretty darn bullish if it holds this 300 the next couple of days. So got to start at least looking for that long here sometimes in Meta.
Rundown brought to you by Trade Ideas, as always. If you have not done so yet, go check out Trade Ideas. Get your copy right now for 20% off. Use the code TraderTV20, including their brand new web app version. You get charts, you get news, you get the whole deal, even the financials on the individual stock and company you're looking at. Tesla, FYI, almost back to day highs right now. Shout out to our friends over at Trade Ideas.
All right. Yeah, shout out Michael Noss, company there as well. And yeah, make sure that, I mean, we're using trade ideas. I have different scanners of things, like when things are crossing VWAP. That's why sometimes we'll like shout out, oh my God, like I got to look at WFC, for example. Or
That's random.
Whatever, I don't know. It is. It was. I think it was near VWAP. Did we just get that, Mark? I don't know. Anyways,
Let's see.
I'll talk about my Square and my Starbucks positions. Those were both off of, again, off of some moving averages as well. Like, see, there's the 50 period moving average, nice downside move. We're going to talk about this tonight. Square, huge trade for me, honestly. 44.40, stop out 44.50. Down there about 70 or 80 cents, so about a 5 to 6 to 1 risk-reward ratio right there alone on Square and still in it. I'm changing my targets here for AMD, so I just want to say FYI on that one. Because as AMD is now, we've been in this for a while and it doesn't want to go back up to the upside. One more fill here at 70, I don't know, I guess we'll put it at 80, like low 80s. I don't know, man. I don't know if this is going to work out or not. And I feel like getting stopped, I don't feel like getting stopped out, but if we are stopped out, right here, 75 would probably be a good play. So we're just going to try it. It looks like we are probably, there it's going to come in right now, right away. So it looks like we will get stopped out here on AMD. Let's just take a little bit out. I don't know, I'm not really loving this trade. Okay, up to 85, all right, we'll take some fills there. But we're only long at 83 right now. So this is, again, just trying to do what we've been doing for a while now. Okay, here it goes. And that is that taking small, no, don't do it. It's going to break. And when it does, we're out. So here comes a little bit of a hit. We're long at 83s. Hopefully that doesn't create too much of a hit. But what I'm saying is taking small positions there, getting a piece out, like I said, just for 10 cents, which is pretty small. Still going to have the hit put in right now. But we waited for a nice little dip buy opportunity. So right now, if we can, I mean, I don't want to, the market's breaking. I mean, let's see if the market can hold this right there. I thought AMD would have been a little bit better behaved right now. It looks like it's fading off. It's like my kids, man. They're never well behaved. So let's just see what happens now. AMD, we lost on it already today. It's already my most negative stock on the day. So that's why I'm saying, like, let's be careful with it. And remember, we were long 83. And again, we just got some out there 90s or 89s, I guess. So it looks like this will drip down. But again, just because we got some out there, the pain is a little bit less. We only got out 10% each time. So we'll still have the full boat here pretty much on a move down and then take this about 10-cent hit with slippage here on AMD. But I still like it, and let's see if it can go. We're just playing it off this 50-period moving average, right? Held, broke higher. Now it looks like it wants to break lower. So this AMD will get squashed up right now. And that's why I think everybody needs to, understand, like the stream, like what we're trying to do here, because, I mean, trying to give you our reasons for back and forth here, why I'm taking trades, why we're holding on to them, and why we're getting out. So what's up, Brendo?
I was going to mention this, guys, during the rundown, but didn't get to it, wanted to. Uber and DoorDash, a bit of a move through lunchtime there on this note. They lost that lawsuit in New York City, so they're going to have to pay minimum wage in New York City for drivers for Uber, again, DoorDash. There was one other one. Oh, Grubhub was the other one that they mentioned as well in that lawsuit.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with that news that came out because Uber was a really good long, and then it just starts going like all crazy. Obviously, that's going to happen when you're in one of these trades, but we mentioned this during lunch money. There's your breakout on Uber. Look for the dip buy consolidation to take next level up. Had 46s. It was all the way into 46.5. Came back down, gave me some 20s, and just started going wicking everybody out like crazy. Ends up holding on to 46. I think the long is probably still valid above 46. It's just a little late in the day, especially with the market making lower highs here. Makes me not want to buy anything at the top. So I feel like it's either I'm still in this one off 46, which I'm not, or I'm looking for things to be short off the highs. I wouldn't be chasing this long. Maybe there's something off 46 on Uber, but this is why you have stop orders, because like that shakeout, sure, it shakes out and then goes back to the upside. But if you don't have a stop, like what if it shakes out on that news, then Uber is down $1? Like you don't want to be sitting there holding that. So I always believe in having stops and trailing stops. I was asked like a target on Palantir. This was another kind of a lunch money idea, that 16 level. I keep trying to get rid of this wick. It keeps coming back. But if you look at Palantir, this is the 50 period on the daily. Nice bounce at 1360. Buy Palantir when it gets to 1360 as a day trader, and you haven't lost every single time. But it's at resistance. Got to 96s. shorted when it failed here. I was ideally looking for a 16 break to fade, but it made one top here and then made another fail at that same high. So I jumped in off the local high, got some out 10 cents and then 20 cents. Maybe it'll be VWAP. I'm going to look to reload this one in the 90s. It's a scalp trade off of the even dollar level here on Palantir. And not a dissimilar notion, but Amazon kind of got up to the top, failed 126.5, waited for a fail break of the high. There it is. It's been channeling down. I'm just looking for VWAP here. Amazon's actually been, like everything else, stair-stepping to the upside. And when you pop the 15-minute up, like if we take this out, I think we at least get to 125. But if you hold 125.50, this is a stock which could easily take out a double top and made a nice liquidity grab underneath 124 this morning. I call that a liquidity grab because you don't spend any time down there except for running people's stops at the open. Like someone who said, oh man, Amazon almost broke 124 yesterday. Ooh, I don't want it to get under that price. I'm going to put a stop order underneath 124. Tinfoil hat, they run stops underneath 124. Bunch of exit liquidity for others that put market on sell opens or stop orders down there. They get run, take it back to the upside, and then there you go. Good relief rally for Amazon, but it's given up the ghost through 125.50 here.
All right, so about 10 minutes ago, we got out of Meta at 303.50. 301.50. You know, I mean, we got the short, breaks the 50 period. Got to do better, got to do better. Yeah, my throat is a bit. The last time my throat was feeling sore, apparently I was patient 0. So we'll see.
That wasn't a good look.
We'll see. Yeah. Okay, I'll just take tomorrow off. Okay, so 301 and change. Although we've debunked that theory, so but we'll see.
Well, it's okay. No. The thing that was debunked was whether or not you gave it to me. It's not debunked whether you're patient 0. Everyone else.
Right.
That's. Yeah, you didn't give me COVID. It was very different.
Right.
I had something different from what everybody else had.
There it is.
But you were still patient 0 for whatever minor cold was going.
Yeah. I'll take all the smoke. I'm patient 0 for everything. All right, there we go. Let's go, man. There it is. AMD.
Oh, the humility.
In your face right now for AMD, man. Nice move back up to the upside right there. So again, sometimes, like this is the thing. When you break below, you know, that level there, the 50 period, you get out. And it sort of stops you from having to worry about this. So then it came into VWAP, and that's where we took it, right? So a little bit back there, 102.10, all the way up to 102.36. So 26 cents, we'll hold on to half, see if it can go to the upside right now. We'll see where we go from here. So hopefully, we do have the bottom there, but we want more shares because honestly, we were waiting at VWAP or a little bit higher than that. So we took some 17s. We had much more at 11. It went down to 15. So hopefully AMD can fly back in just a little bit. But again, this is what we're doing, man. It's all about changing up your game and being patient. So we tried it on the 50 period. It didn't work. So we got back into it there at the VWAP and then made that back up to the upside, man. So yeah, let's see if it's going more right now. We'll see if it goes. Square almost got, shout out to you, Jennifer Schultz. Square almost got to the dollar club, and actually, we're short here, 44.40. Look where it bounced clean off of. Dun, dun, dun. We should have got out of that, but again, we did not even notice it. I should have had an order sitting there again at VWAP for Square, which would have been 80 cents. It doesn't matter. The dollar club is just a fun thing to do. We were looking to get that trade there, so we should have put it there, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Let's just put it right now. 43.65 or so right there for Square. So let's put it there, take it out, and then we'll see where we can go. We do have Danielle Shea coming on the market recap show today. So it's been a couple weeks since she's been on. So join her with myself tonight at 4 o'clock. Daniel Shea will come on at 4:15. We're going to talk all about options plays, you know, what we're looking at, what to do about Nike. Maybe I'll ask her about some Costco, and I want to talk to her about oil if she has any plays on that, some kind of, you know, a hedge or whatever. If you're long oil, what do we do to protect ourselves with that trade? So Danielle Shea, Queen of Options, coming through at 4:15 tonight. AMD's pulling back a little bit, which is fine. We do want a little bit of a reload on that one, and then we'll put our bid on Square at 43.60.
I want everyone in the chat to let's help this trader out here. Chris RML just posted this in the chat. They just said, I have no VWAP, no preset keys or stored orders, can't reduce positions. Anyone have a decent platform in the UK? Now, obviously, you're talking retail platform. I can tell you, as far as a prop floor, Day Trade the World does operate there as well. But if you're looking for some kind of a retail platform, hopefully we have some viewers that are across the pond that can suggest some things. Because that's a heck of a lot to be missing to be trying active trading, right? Like you're talking about a basic indicator like VWAP, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say is on almost every platform I've ever seen. No preset keys, you're talking some hotkeys, that's important. So no reducing positions, that basically means you're all in, all out every single time you take a trade. For active trading, those are some very basic things that you want to be able to have. So hopefully we can give some suggestions to that trader. I did promise Nimit, and I think Tisha was also asking about BNOX. So BNOX, the level for me was at 450 this morning. Took the shot off it. It looked like it was going to go. Got some 530 in there, and then it huadunked underneath 450. You can see what's happening now. Call it a VWAP rejection. Call it a 450 rejection. Either way, this cannot seem to break out that price. Yeah, it gets exciting if it can hover above 450. The volume is big. It's on 100 million shares, but you can see it's also tapering off quite a bit. A lot of that volume is a hot fire in the pre-market, hot fire right at the open. It tried to go here at about noon, and it's really tapering off. So you want volume for one of these things to start actually going. Hopefully that would matter. SLNO, you know, Soleno, this one is actually trying to go. This is like the stock that it just won't quit. Like when you think it's dead, it's just not. It's back above VWAP. This one's trying to take out 25. It's got some room if it can take 25, so you get to a semi-double top of 26.5. Volume's not great, but the price action is definitely right now at least better than some of the other small cappers. I'd like to see volume pick up. Otherwise, I think it's just looking for the stair step down short in the overall market feels like a decent position. Oh, I wanted to mention Disney for a second. We didn't really talk a lot of Disney. Actually, we didn't talk about Disney at all today, I want to say. I meant to. Didn't get into it. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Disney is kind of failing this $80 level again. Like every single time I think this is holding 80, like yesterday it goes to 79, manages to close right pretty much at 80. It breaks 80 today. I'm like, yes, Disney, you're holding that 80. Now the stock can finally do something positive. And then you're right back underneath. So the stair step is to the downside on the daily. I feel every time it fails this particular price, like look what just happened when it broke through 80. Like 15 minutes ago. Like flush right down, one single candle, retesting some of the lows. If the market's going to stair step down, hey, find something weak and short it. Whether or not you can get VWAP and 80 again, that's one story. I'd love it to be able to short it at 80 bucks. But if we're just going to consolidate short here, that would mean failing, say, 79.90, looking for the short underneath that into the low of the day. Sometimes you look for the weak name, short lower and buy back lower. Or if the stock's trending up, buy high, sell higher. Following the trend is usually a little bit easier than trying to magically pick out the bottom or pick out that top.
Yeah, I was noticing the same thing here, just talking about some of the positions that we have on board. Starbucks is also, so I just wanted to, because people are maybe wondering, I was mad at myself because that was the first time that Square came down to VWAP. We already have a bunch of outs here on Starbucks at this level. It's like we have a 97, a 93, another 97. You know, so to get out at 89, like I'm just expecting it to even flush even further than this. And why do we take Starbucks? Because it just came back into the pre-market highs, and I was feeling bearish, right? And so, you know, we wanted to look for names that were short. And not only do we want to look for names that are short, but again, you know, we do have the how to prep your your trades getting ready, so you can go over on Instagram at TraderTVSean or on Twitter. But at the same time, it's like wait for key levels to come through and then plan your trade. So we've already gotten a bunch out here. So I'm actually thinking Starbucks could fade if this market goes to the downside. You know, the main problem with all these shorts that I have on right now, although I am long AMD, is that Frank's coming on. And normally the market will rally when Frank comes on. So we'll hold on to some of these shorts, and we are getting ready to buy more AMD a little bit lower. So that might be the catalyst there. So let's see if AMD, here comes Starbucks right now, breaking through that level. So this is what I'm talking about. You're now breaking through VWAP and trying to go a little bit lower. Let's let this one breathe. But for Square, no breathing allowed. If this gets down into here, we also have, you know, this little level of concern for me here between 43.60 and 43.40 right there, where we've, you know, got a lot of back and forth. So the supply and demand back here, uncertain before it took off, and then it just got bought up right back at that level of 43.60 again. So these two trades look much different to me, Starbucks and Square. So we'll talk about that again on the recap show. I already have it listed that we're going to talk about Square. So I don't want to give you all the goods now. You're going to have to join me at 4 o'clock for that. But for right now, the reason why you're all tuned in is because it's Mr. Frank Caberna at the big desk with Brendan.
No pressure whatsoever. The market is on your shoulders, my friend. Let's touch on what happened this morning and get a bit of a recap here as far as the significance of this, because we are seeing for the first time in a long time a little bit of a reversal here when it comes to the dollar, when it comes to some of these treasury yields. We'll touch on the longer term stuff here in a minute, but definitely weakness for the first time this week anyways for the DXY. Give me your thoughts. I mean, if anyone missed it, GDP comes out basically in line with expectations, bit of a nothing burger overall, but it does kind of leave us, you know, still in the same place we were, you know, at the beginning of the week, still wondering what that next kind of pillar and catalyst is going to be.
Yeah, and it feels like a little bit of, I mean, obviously time will tell, but it feels like a little bit of a weak bounce for euro and pound and a bunch of these other currencies. And same thing for like a little bit of a weak bounce in the bond market, yields moving a little bit lower here today. To your point, a reversal across pretty much every asset class. And though the GDP number that came out was right there in line, very boring, it comes out, you see a little wiggle, and then you see this trend throughout the day, which is a little bit of a reprieve, a sigh of relief among all these markets that have been, even crude oil moving $2 lower today. It seems like every asset seeing a slight reversal, but it doesn't feel like we're really bouncing back. I mean, NASDAQ just gave back a bunch of ground as well right before I jumped on. So we'll see. But yeah, one trend that I definitely do want to hit on here that is even continuing amid interest rates moving lower here today, Brendan, is the yield curve inversion has been coming out and has been coming out very violently over the course of the last several trading days. For those of you who don't know, and you and I talked about this a lot. Everybody got so annoyed with us a couple of months ago because I would jump on, we would talk about it every single day. Yield curve inversion, we're usually looking at the 10-year yield versus the 2-year yield. When we're inverted, those short-term interest rates are higher than long-term interest rates. We've been inverted for more than a year, which has been the longest inversion that we've had in the US in my lifetime, and as far back as I have data for, going back to 1990. And so have become very comfortable with this inversion. It hit early 2022. We've been there for a while, but we've come significantly off of the lows that we were at just a couple of weeks ago. More than 100 basis points of inversion, or 1 percentage point short-term rates over long-term rates, Brendan, now under 50 basis points of inversion and still climbing even today. You're seeing rates moving lower, but 2-year rates moving lower than 10 and 30-year rates. So really interesting to see if this inversion will finally come out. Why the heck does anybody care about this yield curve inversion? Well, it's an interesting trade if you're into looking at interest rates and foreign exchange markets and how the economy functions. But more importantly, the past inversions that we've had have preceded stock market crashes. And we'll see about this one, but it seems like we might be on the precipice here of the first normalization that doesn't necessarily precede a crash. And I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, you can't help but look at the data here, that blue line showing you that same yield curve that we just looked at, but you'll see the last two inversions that we had, early aughts right there, 1999 and 2000. And then of course you have the stock market crash right after that. And then the financial crisis of 2008, right before it, you have a yield curve inversion from around 2006 into 2007. They didn't get nearly as bad as the inversion that we're witnessing right now, and they didn't hang around for as long. But they weren't unraveled the way that this one is unraveling right now, which is to say, you had the inversion back then, Brendan, in 2000, in 2007. And then how the yield curve normalized was stock market volatility enters, market crashes, central bank lowers short-term rates. We're seeing this normalization right now occur with longer term rates just coming up to meet those short-term rates and surpass them. So, I mean, this could be the first yield curve inversion that's normalized, at least in my lifetime and what I have data to support, that doesn't necessarily precede a stock market crash here. I mean, we've seen obviously some two-sidedness amid this inversion of the last year or so, but nothing to the tune of what we saw in 2001 and 2008.
Yeah, and I mean, let's preface this and back up a little bit here in the sense that, yes, it's a very, very small data set, potentially 3 occasions here that we're looking at. A lot has changed in both markets and in the economy in general, going back to the last couple of times that this has happened. But, and I'm glad you brought this chart back because this is not the first time we've seen it, and it's telling. And I think a lot of people should, pay attention to this. The last 2 times in a row that this has happened, and we've started to see the yield curve right itself and get going back in the right direction. That was the start of the sell-off in the overall market. A lot of people have been crying recession for better part of a year and a half, going back to the beginning of 2022 even. And, it's always after we get this writing of the interest rates and writing of the yields that we see the actual market come to the downside.
Yeah, and the Fed is hyper aware of this. This, again, if you want to talk about either the market being hyper aware of it or the Fed being hyper aware of it, everybody has all of this data and is efficiently factored it all in. I mean, it is the soft landing. That's what, if you've read about it in the news or heard Fed Chair Powell talk about it or anyone globally talk about how they can get inflation down, interest rates in the short term to normalize where long-term interest rates are without a stock market crash. That's what's been on everybody's mind. It continues to be, and it'll be that inflation number that we'll get to in a second. Can we get inflation and interest rates and this economy that was sped up a little too much in 2021 and 2022 to a normal level without it falling through the floor like it has in the past? And yeah, I want to highlight the individual interest rates here just to show you what's going on in that inversion. Same windows highlighted here, Brendan, of past inversions. And you see the orange line there, the 2-year rate, the short-term interest rate. It climbed up and surpassed that blue line, the 10-year rate. And then how did it come back below it? How did we normalize? It was those short-term rates crashing lower as the stock market crashed there and the central bank moved short-term interest rates lower. Now you'll see in the most recent instant there, the last handful of weeks, that blue line they're both heading higher, Brendan, and that blue line is coming up to meet the orange line, which is to say we're normalizing in the yield curve in an ascending interest rate environment, which one would be the first time that we've seen this in this, albeit small data set, but the last couple of decades here. But 2, could provide a very different stock market environment. You and I chopped it up a couple of months ago on, the 80s, the late 70s and the 80s, and the turbulence that the stock market saw amid that inflation. Interest rates get to double digits. The stock market falls for a year or so in there, but was able to rebound and was actually very comfortable with higher interest rates for longer. And so, I mean, still an interesting path ahead of Fed Chair Powell, and it'll be an interesting ride for stocks. But yeah, wondering if they can accomplish that soft landing. And yeah, there you have in the table just the hard numbers on exactly what we're speaking to. In the month of September, rates up across the board, but 2-year rates only up 17 basis points, 10s and 30s up more than double that, which is a huge move in its own right. That's almost half a percentage in a month's worth of time. If you go back to, trading in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, you didn't get 40, 50 basis points in a year there, but showing you that the pace with which the long-term end of the yield curve is climbing on the short-term end, and at that pace, we could see this inversion be undone by the end of the year, which makes the next couple of months here really interesting from the interest rate perspective. But also, Brendan, how will stocks take this? How will stocks take a higher interest rate environment, but also this inversion coming undone, which historically it has not taken well? I mean, we're seeing some turbulence the last couple of weeks, but like I say, the stock market's not falling out of bed. It's I think just more getting accustomed to this new environment. And I think if we see this yield curve inversion, which we know will be undone, historically, every yield curve inversion has normalized. But if it does normalize the way it historically has, which is short-term rates falling, that's probably going to be because of some bad economic data and some poor stock performance.
All right, holding up, as you said, pretty well so far today, both the S&P and the NASDAQ anyway, still about 0.5%. Ahead of what's to come tomorrow morning. Actually, I want to get your opinion on what's going to happen tonight at 4 o'clock. Fed Chair Powell going to have this town hall, if you will, with teachers. Q&A going to come, so who knows? Anytime he gets thrown questions, what can potentially be said? So there's that, and then we get his favorite reading on inflation tomorrow morning at 8:30 in this core monthly PCE number.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, no matter what the setting is for a public statement from major central banker, we just saw Lagarde spoke to kick off the week. It wasn't a central bank meeting. They weren't changing interest rates, but it was worth 100 pips in the euro and some stock market turbulence to kick off the week. So that'll definitely be something that is watched. And if he uses any select wording, you know how much this stuff is dissected. If he alludes to, the global economic slowdown, geopolitical risk from China or Russia or anything like that, you might see some movement in there. But yeah, also we have the PCE tomorrow, which could be interesting. And I want to get your take on which one are you watching? Because I'm watching core PCE here. It's the one that Fed Chair Powell has been highlighting more closely. This one expected to fall from 4.2% back down to 3.9%. The first sub 4% reading that would be since 2021. But the larger PCE number that incorporates energy and a couple of other items is expected to rise by, I believe it is 0.2%. From the mid threes to the higher threes, I believe it is. So a bit of a split here. I think that we're going to be watching core PCE more directly, and if that number is better or worse than expected, I really wonder how stocks will react, because it's a bit of a mixed bag. We've been talking about this. Higher inflation, while it might mean higher interest rates, it would maybe be translated as some positive sentiment tomorrow. Whereas if inflation comes in not only at 3.9%, but 3.6 or 3.5%, I wonder if the fear really starts to kick in of deflation, which they're seeing in Japan and China. And you saw just recently, UK and Euro area inflation, that came in under expected. And that translated to some pessimism in those stock markets and currency markets. So it's going to be a nimble act here to see whether or not this number comes in at the expectation. If it comes in higher, is that good or bad for stocks? If it comes in lower, yes, that might be lower interest rates, but is that a sign that we might not be getting that soft landing? Either way, I think it's going to be a really interesting number tomorrow, and it'll tell us a lot about how the stock market is feeling as well. And then, of course, we'll get the Michigan sentiment number quickly to follow. So some really interesting stuff to close out the week here. Definitely reasons to be staying around the market.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's that number specifically, the PCE number, has been begrudgingly going down for the past 6 months, almost a tenth at a time. Every single time we get it, we got a little bit of an uptick there. I feel like it's a bit of a stretch to go 4.2 all the way down to 3.9 on the expected. But I mean, we'll see. As you said, in an environment where energy prices continue to rise, some of the other aspects of that still, at least around where they have been. So we'll see. But yes, definitely, market going to pay close attention to that, going to pay close attention to Fed Chair Powell, the Michigan sentiment number that you mentioned, 10 o'clock then after that at 8:30. So a ton to look forward to coming up here in the next 24 hours, 24 hours even. Great stuff. Frank Caberna, Director of Strategy over at IG.com in Chicago. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Brennan.
Thank you very much, Frank.
I got to thank Frank for many reasons, but thank you so much for the valuable information.
Always, always. And of course, on an important day, because we have him in the Fed chair, he's going to be talking before, which can move things. The futures will trade, but we'll be trading tomorrow morning based on whatever he does say. There was like a small piece of news that kind of moved NVIDIA very, very briefly there. Their French offices were raided. You guys can find this one online, but I posted it in the chat. This is the volume candle that had it breaking VWAP on that news, and then it just sort of came right back in there. So if you looked at a little bit of a dip in the market and some of the chip names, that's what caused it. Was a bit of a headline, and it's not really caring too much. It's going right back up to normal. There was a thing about Tesla as well, but that's not moving the stock at all. BNOX did break that 450 and is rallying higher. And look out, Uber might just take out this top here. Tisha, 450. I do like it. I had moved over to that Soleno, I think it is. And then the second I go to Soleno, all of a sudden it starts pulling back in pretty deeply and doesn't look good anymore. But BNOX now suddenly the one that is going.
All right, so it's just happened that as soon as we went over to Frank there, we did get, this was, again, just whatever, just do this.
Hola, like and subscribe today.
I mean, so we're long right here at 102.211, right? We said we were bidding there. We told you we had a big order there. Came in. We are going, this was going to be 11 cents plus slippage worth of hit, right? Because if it breaks 102, then we're gone. And there it is. So now we're 43 cents in the money, so 4-1 as we continue to go to the upside. But the thing about this trade is we also have to, so we started getting out for 10 cents was our first trade. And then just to the upside, we did get a lot out right here around the 45, 46 area. But now look, there's the 50 period moving average. So this is what I do when I see that.
Oh my God.
So there it is, right? Out right there. So this is the difference between what we're doing here and maybe what other shows are doing. I don't watch any other shows, so you guys tell me. But like, this is a trade. We just gave it to you twice, right? Live, actually trading, talking about it, working through it. This isn't like, let's buy an option and hope and pray or anything like that. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of people out there that trade options, and I'm looking forward to doing that right here on this show as well. We're going to take some learning curves on all of that. But these aren't like, if this happens, then I'm going to do that. This is
That's
like,
literally what a trade is, though.
No, I know, but we're putting it on, and that's the thing. It's literally putting on the trades, and then you guys are all able to witness what's going on. So I feel like it's all about the education, and that's what really sparked the reason for this show. So again, that's why we talked about it. Look, 50 period, we were going long on the 200, took just a small piece. Then we took a little bit more at the 50 period. When that lost, we gave that up, and we talked about the loss on that. Then we let it fall all the way down into VWAP and then put it on again right there, right? And so there it goes to the upside. That's why, you got to be patient a little bit, and I think that's the one thing that's really changed for me. But now we don't have a big piece left on Starbucks or on Square, but the move's happening back to the upside right now, oopsies, on both of these names as the market is still trying to hold the 50 period. So I'm thinking like right into there, maybe. Do we want to give up Starbucks or Square, sorry? I'd rather reload this if it comes up here again. So let's just hold. We only have 10% left of both Square and Starbucks, and a little bit more than that left on AMD. So, yeah, nice moves to the upside. Hopefully this all made sense to everybody. And there you go. There's another one for you. So live on the show as we enter now. Power Hour.
And another one does a quad duke. That BNOX, by the way. Careful with this. This is the third one in a row. SLNO did it. I think if this can hold 420 in VWAP, though, I might take a shot at this. That 420 was such a good pivot that if it's going to do some kind of a bounce off VWAP, this one did look a little bit stronger. Again, big volume spike. It broke through the 450, rejected 5 even. I'm just looking to risk 20, 25 cents in here if I can get a bounce off VWAP. SLNO did a similar move, and then there was a third one. Why am I not remembering what the other one was? It doesn't matter. There was like the 3 small cap names that we're all going over. But this is the one doing, I think, the best relative volume on the bounce. You know what? It's not going to fill 430s. It's going to have to be like 39s. Going to have to get 39s here. There's no other way. Gimme, gimme, gimme. There we go. No! Oh, you got to be kidding me. All right. Just got in and out again. Again, I did that same thing with that stop order. We have a stop order.
What? That did? Oh, the same thing you
No,
talked about.
so like there's a stop order that we can put out before we get into position. However, it allows you, like if I put the wrong price on the stop, like I want to stop out at 418 and I put 438, then you can get into position and then it just punches you out flat right away because it triggers a stop. But I like using it. I do like using it because sometimes I do not want to enter a trade without the stop in place because I do not want to get run over. I don't want the possibility of getting into the trade and then in the time I'm executing the position, it's halting to the downside. And when the stock is moving this way, I want my protection in first. So again, I just get back in at the same flat price. I think I actually made a cent on that, believe it or not, which is kind of silly, but it doesn't really matter. I'm right back in off the 40 level, had 38s the first time, got out 39, but I want to stop underneath VWAP. This can halt downside if it breaks VWAP. As a matter of fact, it almost halted, like it was a 10% move in here. If it breaks VWAP, it could easily have halted on that move to the downside. So stop is in. This one looks like it's going to be a good one. It was Soleno. This was the one that was doing something similar, but then watch. It was breaking out, does the look grab, actually breaks VWAP and is now bouncing. Difference is Beanox is holding on to VWAP at least for now. Amazon might be rolling over at a lower high. Let me just see if I don't like this. I was thinking the reload was up here at the quarters on Amazon. It might be at 126. I don't want 14.8 to go, and I haven't found a way to get into more Amazon short off the top, or at least something else. Let me see what else is going on. Uber, that was the other one. I was looking for a dip buy at VWAP. Never mind. This doesn't even get to VWAP on that last little dip. So Uber is still looking very, very strong. Just a question of how to get into that one. Palantir has yet to completely break down, but it's going sideways off the lower high, so that looks like it's pretty good. Renata saying, can you check TLT 1 month chart? I like long. A lot of people have been liking longs on TLT that have not been going well for anybody in the last little bit. But you know what? I should pull this up in my trade ideas instead of here because I feel as if I scroll back on that chart and I'm tempting fate for that. So let me just pull up the weekly. For TLT, that's a 20-year treasury. For anybody, you can imagine his yields are going up. Like, what has this been doing? It's only been going down. I have the weekly up. You said the monthly. Let me just throw that up for you. Like the long. The thing about when anything goes down like this, eventually you're just going to come into some big levels, right? But this came into big levels back here, and that's at the end. Was it there we go, like 18. And destroyed those to the downside. It's now coming into big levels again, which we already bounced off of, by the way. What's that, like 87, 87.5? And maybe we bounce, maybe we don't. But if you could have said that about all the key levels that have already come into play and the trend is done. Usually when you're catching this kind of a bounce on a really high term, like it's a monthly chart. Right? So if you're taking a level on the monthly or the weekly, then you don't need to worry about, okay, it's trying to bounce. Like then go from here to, like go from there to the weekly and see what's going on in a little bit of more of a low term. On the weekly, okay, fine, you're at that level as well, but you're not really bouncing off it yet. So you're there on the monthly, but on the lower level time frame, it's not as if anything's happening except it's still going down. So if you're that long of an outlook to find the level, then that level of patience is required in terms of getting into the long. Like let it bounce first. I don't know. Like this is a pretty strong downward trend. Maybe it gets back above, holds 90, tries to break back out. It just looks so bearish to me. It's TLT.
Yeah,
so, like, it's not giving you, like I understand, okay, today it's having a good day. Okay, so maybe that's the start of something. But if you're gonna get a trend reversal, you don't, if you're getting a level off a weekly or a monthly chart, you can't be worried about missing the trade by a day. I don't think, at least not to me. But yeah, at some point it's gonna make a bottom. It can't go down forever, but be patient with it. That's all I could say, because I feel like you're catching a bit of a falling knife with treasuries right now.
Okay. Just watching out what's been happening here, because I feel like there's, first of all, AMD is right now 60 cents and still going, so that's going to be a good one here. But you know what we're not happy with right now? If we can go to the screen, there it is right here, is this likes number. 470 likes. If you're watching the show right now, there's over 37, it was 3,700, 3,690 right now. Just hit the like button. Just hit the like button. Let's see if we can get that to 1,000. I think we could do that probably within the next couple minutes. So hit the like button, and we will check back on that in just a couple of seconds. So, I mean, look, again, Neil answering the questions in the chat, going over the charts, talking about trading at the same time as doing all of this. Oil today, again, with a nice move to the upside. It's now closed. We'll see what's going on with oil right now. Actually, no, I didn't even notice this. It did fade out there at the end. Oil down 2% today. So we'll wait to see there as it faded off 94 pretty darn good, making that move back down 91.70. So my bad on that one. Oil not up today. I don't know, right there at noon, we had a break. I guess it wasn't at noon. It was at 12:30 there. We broke that 92.50 and went down completely $1, wondering if we missed a headline there on CL. So, yeah, oil with a downside move. I'm going to check back in on this. I don't know if Michael Notch is coming on tomorrow. I think he is on Friday on the after show. So I'm going to talk to him about it, because right now we've been long XLE from down here, and we didn't necessarily hold it as a hedge or anything like that, but it's made a move all the way back up, and right now you're getting near some levels. He told me to hold on to it, but I'm probably going to get a little bit out there. I still haven't done it, so we'll talk about XLE with Michael Noss tomorrow. But for right now, I was thinking about a possible reload. I mean, there goes Meta, right? We were like, oh man, look where we got out of Meta. But this is day traders, basically life of an intraday trader, that you have to be flat at the end of every day, because that moved 301.50 right back up to where we got out again. So now we're not feeling as bad. But now you have the 200 period. Remember, it didn't really work on AMD. So I think we'll probably stay away from Meta again. But if it does come up to 306, we'll hit that. Meta, obviously a positive name here today, but still feel like it needs to either come back to VWAP before we trade that, or back into 101.50. I think this is a good long, though, 302.50. Like if Meta falls back into VWAP, we can use this as our out. Basically a break of 302 maybe, and then if you really want to get spicy with it, 301.50. So I think we'll wait for 302.50 to come back in, but I do want to not forget about Meta and make sure that we hit that. So I'm going to put a bid right now, and sometimes that's what matters, is when you put a bid on these names, because otherwise you're just kind of, that's what I was talking about, sitting there waiting for something to happen. We'll miss it. So if I don't put something there, it's like that Square trade that I missed, and now Square's all the way back up, by the way, now only a 10-cent winner from 50. But right there, let's put a bid and see what happens. So when it comes back in, it'll fill us up, and then we'll deal with it at that point. But for right now, I don't mind that. The future's making a move back up again. Kind of bounced off VWAP, held that 14.8. I mean, there's the 14.8 break, basically. There's the hold of it again. So, you know, futures want to do some work here. And I was just messaging with Danielle Shea, who is coming on at 4:15 today. And I said, yeah, no, possible bull run coming in the next couple of days. We talked about that with Brian Shannon yesterday as well. But let me just call up a name that I recently bought. And we told you about this. We're long at 104.50. Who cares? It's only $2 in the money. I'm not getting out of this anytime soon. We just bought a little bit of it, but that was a good move for Oracle the last couple of days, so we'll see if that can work. And then the other name that we bought in the long-term portfolio, or added to, was Amazon, and that's working. It's not working. It's flat today, but I like this name, and we're going to see if that one can work moving forward. Tonight, though, man, it's all about NKE, so we'll wait. Wow, by the way, here goes AMD is now. I thought I had an offer up here. There it is. Okay, good. We'll cancel that. We just got to fill. I want to make sure we don't get more out than we needed. So we get out some there at 93. Look at this. Boom. You know, that's called buying VWAP. I could tag Brian Shannon again. I don't know if he's tired of that. But there it is. Nice move to the upside off of VWAP for AMD. So again, lost our lunch early there. I guess it was our breakfast. Right away at 9:30, 9:50. Made some money back on the short again before getting stopped out. But then we made that money back on that bid. And this is... you know, again, another level that we talked about. It hit, it filled, we sat there, we took it, boom goes the dynamite right there back up to the upside. So, you know, knock on wood, it's 315 right now, but we are at the highest spot we've been at all day. And then right now you're testing one more time upside. So let's see if we can get this one truly into the dollar club. It just needs 10 more cents, and it is another member today. $4 on Meta. We'll see if we can make $1 right now on this one, but my other stocks are getting squashed anyways. We only have 10% of those. You know what's funny? VFS today actually did pretty good, holding this 1190. So VFS was a funny one because we were long early at 12. We got it up to 1280. We bought some more back at 1210 again. Then it broke VWAP and we got out once it broke 12. But you know what? It actually held. So I'm going to write this down for a possible day 2 play down in and around this $12 mark. It's going to be obvious because I don't think it's going to move too much today. But if we can still continue to hold that 1160, I mean, we've seen what it can do on the daily chart, pretty nasty. You know, so maybe this has some wings to go back up to the upside. I think it's worth looking at VFS tomorrow around 12 bucks.
I missed my chance on that
Maybe
one.
today even.
I like the 13 short on that, and it just didn't quite. I always want that. I want those stocks to press into a level and break it when it's a parabolic mover. It's just it's a little better if it false breaks a key level. I've always found than if you just stand in front of it. AB. I'll go over it again. No issues there, but I told you exactly where I wanted to get out of BNOX. If it doesn't hold on to this level, and that's at 420, there it is. Like, it's a tight stop. You could always give it more. It's 315. So here's the thing. If it's the morning, sometimes it can be worth it to give it more room. But with 40 minutes to go, when the day trader has to be out of position, by the way, that's going to reflect. I am out of it. You guys can see it right there. That's in. That's out. Sometimes it takes a minute or two to get off the board. I don't know why, but it is what it is. I'll show you. I had 40s in, 18s out. So it broke VWAP. If there's more time in the day, sometimes you can give it more room. But this needed to bounce off VWAP, give me the rubber band play, get back inside that range, and get back up to 5 pretty quickly. It's still stair-stepping to the upside, but when you're running out of time toward the end of the day, it's not like I'm holding this overnight, saying to myself, hey, look at BNOX, day 1, it's holding above $4. Look at the convincing bottom it just made. Maybe it's worth it to hold it tomorrow and see if it can make a run to $7. Like, that's not what we're doing here. What we're doing is day trading, which means we're out at 4. James Choi saying, told y'all about Boeing calls. That's going up. I'm glad that it is, if it is actually going to the upside, because it was like last week when I pulled up a chart of this and literally wanted to throw up in my mouth.
Like 10 straight down days or something.
No, it was more than 10. It was, oh, never mind. There's like this one green. Yeah, it's, okay, fine.
Well, he can't be supporting Boeing. Maybe he's calling Boeing calls now because that's 3 straight down
Yeah,
days.
like, are you saying, just maybe clarifying.
By the
there,
way, AMD is.
Are you long this right now, or are you saying it's going to be a good long? Because I'll tell you, there are a few charts that look worse than this on the daily. I'm not sure where the bottom is going to be, but usually, like in the last little bit, I've been saying, hey, look for things that bounce off the 200-period moving average. This held up the 200-period for like a day or two and is now breaking another major support level today underneath 195. So it's getting to a point where underneath here, next stop 175, that looks okay. Maybe 175 is something. Jamlocity, you're right, Blackberry earnings are tonight. But if you saw the short that I did, spoiler alert, a Blackberry got thrown in the garbage. That's what I felt about the earnings today in a general sense. I didn't necessarily, I'm not saying Blackberry's going to zero, but in a general sense, it was kind of, unless they're getting bought by somebody, I'm not sure what moves the needle tonight. I could be wrong about that. Maybe it actually does something. And it's not even a squeeze name anymore.
No, that's the
which is depressing. Like if it was over 10% short float, at least it'd be something to dig into. Like you could look for that relief rally, break $5, go squeezing like a Lucid or something. You don't even have that for BlackBerry anymore, which probably means we're not going to trade it, but I never say never. Anything can happen. Maybe there is a trade on BlackBerry tomorrow. I'm kind of hoping it's something resembling a $5 short, but you never really know. Amazon's at a reload level, so it's right up here, 126.5. At least it's within range of the reload level. This is where we had it before. Going to look to see if we can't get that rollover. The market is pressing 14.9, so we're at a bit of a key level in the futures as well.
This is too funny. We probably won't do anything, man. We're dollar. I mean, AMD is a dollar club, so whatever. My wife just sent this to me, so shout out to Marissa. I think this is too funny, man. Honestly, maybe this is just a dad joke, but I just think this is funny. One time I was late to practice, and my coach made me run laps. My dad was the coach, and he drove me to practice. So good. So I get
principles priceless.
good. So I get some laughs there from Ramin and from Kat. So I know it's all good on that one. But that's funny because like as a coach, it's just like I'm gonna do that to my kids soon. I'm gonna be like, that's it. But that's funny though. So I thought that was good. So shout out to my wife, and I think that's funny to do that. I do have to be. That was the one thing where I'm noticing that like the rep hockey coach is a lot more strict than I am with the girls. So I'm going to have to be a little stricter next baseball season.
You got to have limits, though.
Yeah. You don't want to be like, you still want to be enjoyable.
I once ran, I ran laps for being late to a rep baseball practice. And the coach was like, why are you late? I was like, oh, because I had literally my final, sports rehab session for torn ligaments in my ankle. It was like my first practice back. I'm like, they literally cleared me 30 minutes ago, and I was with the guy saying you can now practice. So I was doing that to get back on the field, and that's why I was late today, and you knew I was there. And he's like, okay, yeah, do your laps. Yeah. It didn't really make a difference. He's like, it didn't. I'm like, my ankle still. And by the way, I wasn't even healthy, man. I was like doing all the drills. I'm like, yeah, I don't feel any pain when I'm on this balance box. Oh, it hurts still, but I want to be back on the field. But that's all life. You got to have a little bit of fun with these things. I love that joke, but I also think that's how you should be.
That's what I'm saying. I need to be harder.
You're still late.
I need to be harder.
You're still late. It doesn't matter the why. You're still late for practice.
Yeah.
And, you know.
I mean, I run around with them anyways. I mean, for my daughter, she was 8, so now she's 9. So it's like playing rep is like, it's a lot.
They grow up too fast. That's the problem.
They do. So Meta, AMD, first of all, 10% left on AMD. We've just let these Starbucks and Square positions actually get back, which is kind of silly because we're holding that last 10%, and it's like, we gave it up, but we are at the highest spot we've been at all day. The AMD trade was, this was the topper there at the end of the day for me. So that's going to be a good one there. Let's just check out to see what any of these other runners are doing right now. Peloton, really not doing anything. And again, even though we talk about the sticky note, I still look back on this. Like today we wanted Amazon short, Apple short, Rivian long, Peloton long, and then GameStop long. So GameStop, we know that we got GameStopped out.
Oh, Clavio, that's what I want to mention.
On that one as well. So that didn't work. And it's been really Deadsville here in the afternoon. You know what? Let's just check out AMC because why not? We'll have a quick look. We haven't looked at this all day.
$8. No, never mind.
Yeah, it's a little bit lower than $8 right now, but it's close. Good call. Whoa. Oh, okay. That's because we have a bad wick there, so nothing. Okay. So not much happening there. 775 top. That might have been a good short for AMC. You know what? Maybe I'll just edit this and then, because I can't look at the whole day if I don't edit this. So if you are with us, see it has this opening price, that high is wrong. So you got to go 758 or whatever it is right there, and boom. So, okay.
What? No, mine always crash.
Yeah, no, sometimes it works, man. Sometimes the editing works. All right, so right there, 7. You know what doesn't work for me? If I change this to like a 5-minute chart, then it will for sure.
Oh, then it'll crash? Okay.
That will crash for sure. So 775 there, a nice top with the bottom of being 755 there on VWAP. So yeah, right now AMC can go to sleep a little bit and we don't have to worry about it. Oh, what I was talking about was Nike. So we do have Nike on. What's wrong with this chart now? Oh my God, oh my God. Okay, so Nike today, must be a bad print. I don't know what it's like. Why is it doing that? I don't even see any bad prints.
There's one.
Where? This?
Oh, is that a spec? What is that?
Oh my God, there is something all the way up there.
That's what it is.
What is that? How do I edit that?
It's not even
9. It's not even.
No, it's not.
Forget it. Oh man. Anyways, okay. Let me see if I can. There it is. Okay, so Nike today, bottom of 88.65, top 89.90 or so. So again, about $1 worth of room. Nike just chilling out before reporting tonight. But look at Nike, man. It's just been straight to the downside. So if we're going to look at Nike, I would think the better play for this one would probably be to buy calls rather than puts, only because what are they going to say? Like, I guess maybe too much inventory on hand. Can't really blame supply chain right now. But down to $90, looking pretty bad. Again, if I change the time frame on this, it's probably going to crash. But just looking at Nike, huge move to the downside. We'll have it up on their report tonight. But I don't really know what to say about this one other than it's been a pretty disastrous move to the downside for NKE. I liked it at the beginning of the year. But again, with China, with credit card spending at all-time highs right now, possibly people have blamed student loan repayments, but I don't really
It matters, man.
It does matter, but students, honestly, man, they blow money on the stupidest things. I mean, Taylor Swift tickets are right now face value 100 going for $2,000, and they can't even stub up.
But there's a misnomer that the student loan repayment thing is about like young people. No, it's like a lot of people are going to get those payments back that you're not, like, we're not talking about just like 23-year-olds, 25-year-olds. You're talking about like major actual spenders that suddenly aren't going to have as much. It's a few $100 out of your pocket every single month. Like, that can matter. Like, I'm concerned about that for Nike. That said, on the weekly, like, really 80, like, oh, it's Ramin's in my ear saying they haven't released anything good recently. Look, maybe that's true. I think there's some concerns with China as well. But
what is good, though?
I know look, good is in beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I think some people are pretty loyal to it. But if it gets down on the weekly to low 80s, you are getting to a major level. Like, it was a huge volume reversal at this price. If it can hang on, like, this would be about 5 or 6% down from here, which is like, that happens all the time on earnings, right? So I think you want to be watching for this on the weekly. Forget about the 2020 levels. I mean, I'd like to think that's not coming back into play again. I remember we were live on the show during 2020, and I remember actually being short like $64 one day on Nike. It's kind of funny to think about that now. I wanted to mention this. Shout out to Mr. Westermeyer. Klaviyo, I made a comment this morning, and it was more, I was looking at ARM when I said it, and I knew that cart had broken down, and I was talking about the weaknesses of 3 IPOs, so I want to make a correction. Klaviyo has not been actually bad since day one. It's making higher lows all the way through. It broke out 36 today. Thank you, Mr. Westermeyer, for pointing that one out. And as a matter of fact, this above 36 doesn't look all that bad. It's still not breaking highs from the first day. The rejection, this was not a 39 rejection. If memory serves, it was a little bit closer to, it was under 38. That first wick high wasn't real. I feel like that was just a bad wick on our charts. But either way, Klaviyo is having a good day and a good week. So you want to respect this one. It's cart that's been a bit of a bag hold. Like, you're underwater. Like, it's up today, but you're underwater if you bought this from the issue price at 30. Oddly enough, 30 is resistance again. I didn't look at that this afternoon. Don't talk yourself into a last 30-minute trade. Look at the resistance at 30. 30 is the IPO issue price on cart, and it's been resistance all day long here, at least most of the day. At 9:30, this was at $28. But yeah, that 30 level coming back into play again. I do like it. It could be worth a shot here. The volume's good, not great though, unfortunately for cart. One more thing that I did want to get into. If I give BNOX more room, fine, I could still be in it, but it's still not doing anything anyways. Like, I could still be sitting in this trade, but I wanted this rubber band, snap back off VWAP, bounce right off it, like reject the down move and snap back up. So while it is still technically would be working if I held on, that's not the trade I was looking for. I was looking for the dip, trail people out, and then you catch that bounce, it goes right into the money, and it goes resuming the move to the upside. That's what I wanted. So to me, it's going to be a tight stop every single time. It's like a breakout. It had to work right away. If it doesn't work right away, I don't want it. KVYO doesn't really have high volume, but it is an up day. Yeah, you're right, but most IPOs by week 2, the volume is going to be underneath. The problem with relative volume on an IPO is there's so much in the first day or two that it's a bit skewed. Like, you don't get a really good sense of volume until the second week, so it's not really as bad as it seems in terms of being a low volume name. I want to give credit where credit is due, the fact that stock's actually up this last week. Not what I would have expected at all.
All right, so we took a little bit there right now on Square. So we took some 54s there. You could see my, or 53s. We just got some out at 43. So again, a little bit of a reload. My stop was going to be 60. So 7-cent stop, take 10. We'll see if we can get back into here and just see if we can do a little bit better on this trade than we had the first time. Or well, no, we did great on the first time. I mean, Square again, another top stock here today, but we'll have to get it back into 44.20 maybe. Let's put a bid in and around there just in case we do fall back for some Square there. Otherwise, that's where the out is. And then we did reload, okay, even Starbucks. We just reloaded that one at 37 there. So this one's starting to fall back in just a little bit again right now. So maybe we put some bids on here. And if this falls, then good on that as well. So let's see if we can break through 30 now, get this fill, bless you, get this fill on Starbucks. And then, yeah, just start Just start stacking. It's near the end of the day. We do have those imbalances coming out in just a second. I can see Brendan writing something. So there it is, 283 million to buy. So, you know, maybe not great for the short. We're $1.10 in the money on AMD, but we already got a nice piece out there right here. It did go as high as 103.30. I only have 10% left. No, sorry, way less than 10%, 5% left on this trade. So unfortunately, it hit the 200. Not unfortunately, it's a great trade. But we got a lot out right here, 60s and 70s. We talked about that. So, you know, we'll try to do better next time. But that was a great trade. I'm still happy with where we held at. And like we keep on saying over and over again, if you don't have outs, then you don't have anything. So
speaking of which,
good play on Starbucks. Yep.
Well, I put this in the chat.
There goes Starbucks.
But I'm going to go over to this anyways.
There goes Square.
I'll mention it at the time when I'm in a trade, but if you don't hear it or you don't remember, so it started the short on, I almost said ARM. I'll get to ARM in a second. Amazon right here. It makes a lower high at that price. When I get into the trade at this point, I'm usually stopping out at the high of the day, which is exactly where it was. When I'm reloading off the lower high, I'm giving it to the lower high. Right, so reload off lower high, give to lower high. It's technically 38, but then I throw a stop at 40. And again, you don't, and whatever, the line on the chart says 38. I usually round it up because I want to get out on, when it breaks an even number. So I did grab a little bit of a reload there, and then I'm getting out right here, essentially. I don't know what's going on with ARM, but the market bounced a little bit, and this bounced a lot. So that's a $2 move in ARM in the last, what is that, 15? Whatever, it doesn't really matter. You can see how fast that is. ARM breaking back out. It's now back in the money if you bought the open price. Okay, check that. 56.10 was the open. It's at 56. So the open price was 56.10. That is a key level for ARM. And it's not to say that it has to go up or down, whatever. It's just I like that price. We'll see if it can. If it rejects this high, it would be cheeky to try and make, it's a key level. It would be cheeky to try to take a short, but I don't see any reason for why this just went up. All the chips bounced at about that time that NVIDIA shook off that Paris rumor news, which it's a joke in the chat. I didn't want to say it, but I'm like, who cares?
Did you even find a link to that? Like, is it real?
No, I saw multiple sources say it on Twitter, but it's like,
okay.
Does anybody care what the French do? Someone said that. I didn't say that in the chat. Someone else said that. But either way, this 56 level, there's some offers showing up here on ARM. Oh, they're stacking the offer a little bit. Here, this is what I mean. That's Peloton. This is ARM. They were just doing, somebody was doing some shenanigans on the offer. There's real size there, 55.95. You can see a little bit at 97. But then someone was stacking 2,000 shares, like over and over again at 92, just trying to make it look like it's going down. But I like this level. Like, it's reasonable. Like, I'm trying to join here to look for the short off of 56. If the market's putting in a lower high, that's a pretty parabolic move without any reason for it. Like, I usually like the risk to reward at this time of day to be able to short off of a high like that. Like, so what? It goes 20 cents against you, fair enough. But it doesn't even have to pull halfway back for that to be a good short. Now you're making me chase, though.
All right, guys. We just reloaded all of these stocks, right? So now Square is now 25 cents in the money. So we take a piece out, another piece out right here. Now let's see if it can go, man. We talked about getting back to the 50 period. There it is. So that's another one. Another banger right there. Hopefully it can continue. We'll see. Starbucks as well. I mean, we just put that short on right there again, and here it comes. Actually, maybe we should take something out around here, although what's my best out already? My best out's 27, so whatever. Again, all we're trying to do now over and over and over again is just get some pieces out. As we come into the close now, it's 3:35. We do have those market on close imbalances, plus we do have Fed Chair Powell gonna have a little bit of a talk tonight, and we're gonna talk about that on our show coming up. And if he says anything, then we will have to, there it goes, yes, we'll take a 24 right there. And again, just call it a chicken dinner winner. I don't know what everyone's having for dinner tonight. I don't know. Oh, we're having pulled pork. The wife is already doing that. It's Packers, Lions tonight.
I'm starting Musgrave in one.
Yeah, I've got Jordan Love going. All right, shout out to Jason. He wants the Dollar Trade Club. There you go. This is for your NVIDIA trade right there. We had $1 on the long for AMD. I guess you might have had it the other way, but there it is. Nice move there. So you get it right there in the chat as well. Let me just double check. How many likes did we get on that one? Good. We got doubled up there. So we went from 400 to 800. So thank you so much for all the likes. We'd like to get a little more. Our viewership has gone up since the last time we asked. So 800 likes right now. Let's see if we can get a G note on that one. Yeah, man, so far so good here today. I just hope everyone's enjoying the show. 335. Now
Early look was nothing, but
now 30 cents in the money here for Square. Probably just get it out if it comes back into the 200 period. What did Brendan say? It was a buy?
280 to buy. 280.
Yeah,
Nothing.
the town hall for Chair Powell tonight. I don't know. Is that anything?
Staged question. Well,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
I don't know. I'm not super worried about that. It is more just about these imbalances.
I find those weird.
Yeah, let's see where it goes. We're taking out the 200. We might just get out right now. 102.80 break. Where's that? 102.90 break. We're going to get out of AMD. So let's just do that. This is already an 8-to-1. 8-to-1 risk to reward right now. So let's just put that out. 102.90, 102.89 break, and we're out. So let's put that stop in.
So there was a question in the chat about like when you're setting stops and where you like the levels. Like generally speaking, the bars matter more on a chart than the wicks. However, I find I always want my stop out. Like I don't actually want to get out of the trade unless it's over the wick because I want to give it more room. So yes, when looking for an entry, like this bar at 25 matters more. Like that's where the resistance has been. So when I get into it, like I'm looking for it to fail where the bars are, which is under here, and that's when I got in. But when I'm setting a stop to get out, it's like, well, I want to give it past the wick because I don't want to get wicked out. Like I never want to set the stop like literally exactly at the 1 cent where it's been holding resistance because then it's the easiest thing for it to get run, and then it goes past, and you literally gave it no room. But it is what it is. So Amazon just broke 126. It's starting to head back into the downside. If it gets to 125 half, that's been support already. I don't care if it's an imbalance to the buy side or not, but it is that time of the day where you usually want to have tight stops. I don't want to get back in off the same level a fourth time. I don't think that makes a heck of a lot of sense. It's to sell? Cara Torres just, so Matt Booth said it's 283 to sell. I was just going off what Brendan put in our chat. If it's a sell imbalance, that's my bad. It's not a huge number anyways, but I'll double check if I can find it. I was just repeating what I saw in our chat there.
It is, I don't even. Oh, no, here we go. I'll find it in a second. We just get it. It is. Brendan had it the wrong way there. It's fine.
Okay.
It's 283 to sell.
Yeah. Again, I was just reading what was.
Yeah, we get it from Financial Juice. So here it is right here at Financial Juice right here. So it's breaking market news. Early mock imbalance, 283 sell side. So we did report buy side, but that's okay. For right now, that's the website that we use. So there it is right there. Not affiliated. So if it's wrong, like Neil said, we're just kind of reading what we see. So I shot the sheriff. Do not shoot us. Right now. All right, Starbucks. Let's go. Like honestly, guys, I'm just gonna spin it because right now we are doing some serious damage right now in this market. As there it goes. We got not only did we get out of our AMD, but we watched this name just bleed, and that's another one that we just gave. So that was 1, 2, 3 back to back to back jacks. As it goes again with Starbucks, that's a good trade. 40 cents in the money on Square as well, as that's dripping down right now. So there it goes, man. I mean, this is what we're doing. I'll probably just clear out of all of that. So that's it, right? So we have that. And someone was like, oh, all we do is short stock. I mean, we just had a monster trade long on AMD. So like that was beautiful right there off that level. So, it's going to sound funny, but I go both ways, long, short, whatever you guys want. We're here for that. And there's the trade. So, I mean, we're just about one thing. Well, I'm about two things, family and making money here trading. So let's see if that can come through for you right now. But there is some Fed speak happening right now. So Fed President, Richmond Fed President Barkin talking right now. Barking, I guess.
Yeah, he's barking.
Right now. 44.11. I'm going to put a bid and get out of this one, and that is Square.
Yeah, it'll be in 10 minutes we're going to get the imbalances. There was a question about CCL. I mean, they report tomorrow morning, so I don't really have I'm not going to be able to tell you what's going to happen with their report. All I can say is it's rejecting probably the most obvious resistance level here, which is under the flat bottom. That's 1475. And if you go to the daily chart, flat bottom break was right there at 1490 underneath 15. If it were to relief rally above that, I think there's a lot of room that it could go, at least to $16. But it's been in a pretty precipitous downward trend. This is exactly when a lot of times it won't take much to rally the stock. It would be much sexier for the relief rally if it hadn't already given almost 10% off the bottom in the last couple days. It's like it's bouncing going into the earnings, which kind of changes my tone in thinking it's an automatic long. Like I was thinking I only wanted to look long if this was falling into the 200 period moving average, because I like when things have a short float and they've been falling into earnings. I favor the bounce play because there's more to be captured there. I'm not sure that's as true here today. Let's go to the desk, take care of a little business.
Brought to you by IG.com. Trade Forex pairs like Euro USD with spreads as low as 0.8 pips and zero commissions at IG. Terms and conditions apply.
Take them shots. Oh, and by the way, I want to go back over to this. I'll get to Soleno. This is why you have a stop. I mean, it's late in the day on BNOX, whatever the actual name of that company is. I really don't remember. I did know it this morning, I promise. But look at it start to roll over. Like, you want these to go right away. Like, when you get in and it's doing a stair step to the upside, like, I want it to bounce and go. Like, dip, bounce, and go. Like, this one dipped and just went sideways, broke support, get out of it. Soleno apparently is moving. Is it?
Yeah.
I backed. What's hilarious about this is you got to pick one. It's a very similar setup, right? Like, it goes, starts breaking off VWAP, dips down, bounces off VWAP, and goes. I just showed you BNOX, which is the one I had that didn't go. The one I don't take bounces off VWAP and goes right away. Like, that's what I mean. Like, this bounced off VWAP, it went right away. It spent, like, how much time on a 3-minute chart? It dips in, recovers, and is gone to the upside. That's what you're looking for. That's why I have the tight stop on BNOX, because you're looking for this to happen instead of just go sideways and then you want to get out of it. But it bounced right away. That's a great long. Sometimes it's about the setup, and they both had exactly the same setup. One worked, one didn't. But if you had a tight stop on BNOX, it's really not that bad. Small hit. But if you have this one, it's now gone 15% to the upside. You're probably taking some out here when it gives you 5%. Crazy not to. But a strong mover on Soleno. It should be on our radars tomorrow. I don't think we can ignore this stock after what it's done today. Like, this is not, again, like, this is not a stock which had been languishing, trailing lower and lower and lower, and is now catching a bid on some reverse split nonsense. This is a stock which had been trending up since the beginning of the year. Actually, it's in a bit of a strong trend beginning of the year, and then just goes ham on news the other day. Like, this looks pretty interesting to me, especially if we can take out 30 tomorrow. Let's not sleep on Soleno. I'm disappointed that I had BNOX instead of Soleno, but as I said, I think the setup's what leads you to the stock. I almost don't care everything else. The setup was good. You take your shot at it. One worked out of the two. ARM's starting to come back in, but we have 7 minutes till the imbalances come. It's really going to have to start falling quickly to get these outs at like 55.60. I'm going to like an out here off the previous high, which is about 55.40 or so as well. If it gets to VWAP, I doubt it, but maybe it does. I picked this because it was going a little parabolic. Cart off. If I'm not looking at Cart at $30 tomorrow, like, someone slapped me in the face. Like, look at how easy the short was when it false break at 30, goes right underneath immediately to VWAP. Like, that worked instantly if you shorted this at the IPO price. Wait for it to do the false break, get on the way back in there. Just a great opportunity. It's a good level on Cart. Every time it gets there, there's a trade.
All right, so we just got run over there. Not in a good way, on Starbucks. So right there, Starbucks, boom, right there, 40 cents, breaking through 91. Let's continue to hold that. And I kind of was debating putting an order here, but now that it's a sell side imbalance, let's just see if it goes, man. We're really, taking some of these names, but let's just wait to see. We're already out of 2/3 of this. We could fire more bullets, but we are out of 2/3 of Square. So that was a nice move back up. And again, just noticing that it's red. It's not red. It's red against the market, but still positive there today. So could get going a little bit. And Square has that nasty bottom right now. We can look at this chart. It reminds me of Nike and Boeing and all that. But Square is at multi-month lows, year lows, everything. So Square continues to be a disaster. Let's see if it gives up more into the close. And I was just looking here because we do have broker on here. So these are where. Again, that's from Financial Juice. That number that we give you is nothing that we're calculating, but it just adds in all of this. Yeah, Neil said this is an index name. So what is on here that anyone might be trading? So Pfizer, these are not posted yet. Okay, so this is like an early look. You could see updated as of 3:39. So these are even 6 minutes late right now. Some of them a little more recent than that. But there's Pfizer. Looks like it might come as a bid. Barrick Gold right there may come as a bid. And that's been getting hit, right? $14 seems low for that. Yeah, wow. Wow. Okay, I didn't realize how much that name just traded. You might want to try that if you are into gold or anything like that. That would be a good little one for sure with a good dividend. There's CCL, a lot of people talking about them with the report coming tomorrow, so that could be on track for a trade there tomorrow for anybody. CCL has fallen off as well as a lot of these names, haven't really been produced or been producing for shareholders lately, including Airbnb, which actually I'm actually surprised where this was. I thought it would fall down even a little bit more than that. Looks like we did hold that 130. So that gap level there of 130 just held on Airbnb. Didn't like some of that talk there, just like how Uber had that. Now they're going to have to pay minimum wage to drivers. That's going to kill them, or it might not. The other way around that is you just restructure the how they get paid, the remuneration, because maybe instead of getting,
they always find a way around these things.
It's too bad they couldn't come up with, and again, I was obviously not in the courtroom or arbitration or whatever it was, like almost like a deal where the driver gets to choose, because like what if they said, okay, and I don't know what Uber drivers get paid as a percentage of the fare, but like, let's just say you get 50% of the fare. So you could take 50% of the fare and a minimum wage, or maybe 65% of the fare and no minimum wage, or a lesser minimum wage. But I assume that would have been dealt with. So anyways, that's where I think that it might not be a bad story for Uber because it's up 6%.
I think there's a decent portion of investors that are in Uber for a different reason. It's
longer term.
It's the longer term automated driving end game that I feel as if there's very few places to look to benefit from automated driving. The obvious one, Tesla, Uber, to a certain extent, Google. We're talking about this, Randy, Google, and then GM to a smaller extent, and Mobileye. Like just a few places with Tesla being number one. Uber, I think, is an easy number two. It's like if it happens, Uber's an obvious winner. I would say it's Tesla 1, Uber 2 if you're betting on automated driving and benefits from it. Just one quick look here. I did get one fill as consolidation was breaking down an arm, and then it broke the high of the day. So that's the high of the day. That's my out. Always going to make sure we do that. Amazon, I've tightened my stop. So I'm not, at this time of day, I'm not giving it to the previous high. I'm going to tighten it up a little bit here. It actually got very close to breaking the quarters, which is right in there. So we're going to still hang on to that one. And it's hilarious. And I point out box, that B Knox. And then, of course, it's the other one, SLNO, that goes. And then a third setup, which is exactly the same thing, which is a stock trending to the upside that has a quick volume candle dip and then bounce off VWAP. It's like I showed 3 of these setups and take the one that didn't go.
Right.
But it's like, but the important thing isn't whether like which worked and which didn't, because you don't know which one's going to work. If I did, I would have taken the other one. But the point is, the one that worked, see how it worked right away? That's the point. Like it's coming in when it's dipping into VWAP, it's rejecting that move down. You're getting the bid, and then it's working right away. That's why that trade has a tight stop. Because the notion is it could huadunk and halt to the downside. You're looking for the buyers to step in, absolutely gobble up any volume selling, and that should happen. If it's not happening right away in a small cap, I don't want that dip late. Like I want to see it bounce like essentially right away. And that's the key to that box, BNOX. I keep calling it, I don't know why I keep calling it box, but BNOX, look at it, same sort of thing. Dips back in there. Looks like it's about to start that journey. I thought it had more room to catch up, and it was a price I liked earlier, but it does not handle that dip at all. As a matter of fact, it's still going to the downside. Maybe that's an indicator that it could have been a sell. I think that's overthinking things. Soleno is still testing highs. Wow, that stock is relentless today. That stock is relentless. Gotta keep an eye on this one tomorrow. I don't think I paid for locates on this, but if it went to 50 tomorrow, I probably would. I'm going to sit down tomorrow, maybe look at that. Got to get out of Palantir. It's still doing okay. That 16 has been resistance, but no break. It gives you the high, the double top off 16. It stair steps down, but it does not break into VWAP. So I'm going to tighten the stop here to this local high at 350, which is like 2 seconds from now. I always want to have my tighten stops out already, usually.
All right, Neil, we only have 10 seconds
I
now
didn't realize that.
until we have the imbalances. So that's going to change some of the game here in just a matter of seconds. 2 and 1. Let's see what happens now with the market on close imbalances. So we'll get that number in just a couple minutes from Brendo over to you from Financial Juice, and then we'll get where it is. But right now, Pfizer does come out as a bid. 330 to sell. So basically exactly what was posted came out, so that's good. And then you just look on here to see if there's anything as dramatic. We were just talking about Uber. I'll just, hold on a second, let me just move this out so we can zoom in to see if anything actually has any big moves. So Uber, nothing there. Pfizer, we talked about that bid. Hold my beer, says Pfizer, I guess. Royal Bank, in what's been pretty bad run for some of these Canadian banks, as you can see, they're all pretty much at lows right now for the year. So that's bad for Royal and BNS and TD and all of them right now. But it's also true of U.S. banks. We've talked about possibly buying some Bank of America down here at 27. Well, guess what, man? You're there right now. So if you do like it, shout out to Warren Buffett. I know that he used to like Bank of America, but now he's in the WFC a little bit more. So we'll have to watch out for that. Although I think BHC is a higher percentage of his holdings, so we'll double check on that one. AAL, again, tomorrow we have CCL coming. AAL taking the sell to heart, going down 3 cents. CCL with earnings. Yeah, so I'm not, honestly.
Ken View's always in.
I don't know if you noticed anything moving
Nothing.
around, but I don't really see anything.
On the Buffett point, I think you're pretty much right. It's like he owns more of, but he's been currently, what's he been investing in recently would be the latter. So it's like he may own more BAC, but that's not the one he's been investing on recently. It's weird because he'll hold things for so long that he has so much.
Surprised he wants anything regional, right? Like the regional banks, KRE is getting smoked.
But if you see value, you see value. Like a lot of times it's when something gets smoked that you see value. And if you're a value investor, oftentimes that's like when everything is going down in the sector, you might find like the kernel of strength. And I suppose that's probably what he's doing. With 8 minutes to go here, a little bit of a pushback down in Amazon, not necessarily enough. I see JMOT. I'm gonna move my bid. I'm not expecting as much here on this move because we are kind of bouncing off 14.85 here in the NASDAQ. But keep an eye on charge point at this $5 level, JMOT just said. What's interesting is when this market's been pulling back in, I've generally had a rule. If a significant stock that people like to look at and is heavily traded and has a decent short flow, when these things get to $1, $5, $10 levels, I want to have a look at them. And if you look at what's happening at charge point, I think I know exactly what you're getting at. Like it already had one Huadong to exactly $5. It's now wicked $5 twice without actually making a bit of a move to the upside, which is good. That means it's consolidating at $5, and then you look for a breakout. When I say wick underneath, that's what I mean. It breaks under, holds the low, rejects immediately, gets back to the upside. Today was an even bigger example of that. Big wick under that still holds the same double bottom, and you're right back to the $5 level. The next step usually is a breakout of the top, which would be $5.25. But I just realized I don't actually know what the short float is here. I'm just assuming that it's a decent one. 27%, so okay, good. Because everything I was about to say is completely useless if it doesn't have a big short float. 27% short float, that's exactly the kind of rejection where I'm looking for a breakout. Generally speaking, like it a heck of a lot better if they have a catalyst. And they don't, I don't know when they report next. They've already reported, so it would have to be something else that gets to the bounce to the upside. They reported this. It says the 6th. I don't know if I trust that.
Okay,
it was this month, but
seems right.
Give me any catalyst in a 5.25 break, and I think that's worthy given a 27% short float. But I don't know what the catalyst is going to be.
There might have been some news on ChargePoint lately because that seems to be.
You're probably right.
About that one. I think I might have saw it on Benzinga one day after on the recap show, but it doesn't really matter. All right, we will end it right there. Ring the cash register right there on Square. We just took so I put out 2 bids and both of them filled, so very stupidly. So we excuse me. So we'll get in and out. Oh yeah, I'm gonna need a water. I gotta go get that in just a couple of seconds. As I flip over to the big desk for the recap show, we will have Miss Danielle Shea. We are now out of that. We did get out, not unfortunately, but we got out of Starbucks there at 91.03. So that, again, 30 cents in our pocket there to end the day, and 30 cents in our pocket, or more than that. What am I talking about? 52s? No, that's 30 cents down to 20s. So now you're starting to break even lower. But there it is, man. So far, so good here. As we get ready to locked and loaded, we are going to see these imbalances flip over. We talk about that all the time on the show. Now Marvell is here. Okay, I didn't see
$1 million to buy is big for them.
Yeah, but that's, again, not really doing anything. AAL approaching the top here, as in just 10 seconds, we should should get some of these pairing off. There we go, Marvell gone now.
Bye-bye.
So that was probably some window dressing. So what you can do there is someone can just say, look, I have interest for 1 million shares. And someone can say, oh, okay, we'll take those 1 million. So then boom, they get all paired off right there. So seeing a little bit of a movement there in Marvell on that news. So there it goes, nice upside on that. Watch, what did Square do? Nothing. And what did Starbucks do? Nothing. Okay. So
Oh, yeah, of course
I
it
feel
did.
pretty good all about that. And yeah, ARM, that's why honestly.
No, it happens.
Yeah.
It's just part of life, man. Like, it's just, if you're shorting a parabolic move, you're going to make top wick sometimes. Actually, who was I having this conversation? I was having this conversation with Ryan, because he has one of the traders on his floor really likes shorting like parabolic movers for the risk to reward. And I was like, yeah, they can work as long as you're willing to have that stop, so that when it does that move, you just need to have it work a couple of times. Like, if that works 1 out of 3, you're going to be good because it really falls back in. But I don't know. Like at 355, maybe ARM was a small buy that turned into a sell. Like, I don't know if that's the case. My thesis was short the consolidation and have it break down from there. But now it's going to break without me. I still have some Palantir, but as I said, you know, like, it's that time of day. Maybe the bigger flush isn't happening. This is a very strong sign for Palantir, by the way. I think to have held up like this. It pulled back, double top off 16. Usually when Palantir holds resistance at an even dollar level, I'm used to it making the push all the way to VWAP, but not today. Like, it gave the double tops, we talked about it, lunch money, and it's holding up really nicely, up 6% when the market is only up 1. I'll stick on the daily chart here. I feel like a 16, I'm not saying I'm going long $16 tomorrow, but I feel like I really, really might just be going long $16 tomorrow on Palantir. This is one of those where you check back in, and if everything, you cross your T's and dot your I's, but that's a pretty bullish move for Palantir 2 days in a row. And it's not pulling back as far as I was expecting. TT777, Palantir, $20 in a few months. I mean, if it breaks a few months, if it breaks 16, like, this stock has been known to run. I'm not saying it's going to get to 20 faster than that, but it's not unreasonable. That's a reasonable call if it breaks this 16 level. We're day trading, so if it breaks 16, you know how I roll. Like, I'll be out of 30% of it when it gets to 25. I'll be out of another 30% of it when it gets to 50. Probably, you know, maybe call it more than that. I'll have 10 to 20% if it gets from 16 to 17. That's how I roll as a day trader. I'm never holding something like that for the majority of the shares, thinking about more of a move than that. It has been strong all day, but I wanted to get back over to one last name just to double check on it, because Soleno has been an absolute monster. I don't want to call it the biggest mover of the day. There's percentage bigger movers, but in terms of like being a quality company here, I actually think this is one of the more impressive ones of the day. It's going to hold up, check back at 28, and then hold 27. So it's still holding its stair step to the upside. Could be an aftermarket mover. I don't know. In 2 minutes, we don't put on new trades in the aftermarket, but I feel like this is one that likely moves one way or another once the gates close. 2 minutes to go. It's been a wild one, but you're not done. There are some plays to get to. Obviously, the biggest and the baddest and the most important earnings name on the board when we kick you guys over to Sean in the recap show is going to be Blackberry. I know everybody's focused on, you know, what are the earnings going to be like? When is this company coming back to prevalence? I'm obviously joking. You guys care about Nike. And then maybe you'll talk a little bit about, I mean, tomorrow morning you're going to get CCL. That's another big one as well. Steve G, SoFi in an uptrend? No, it's not. Is it really? Yes, it is. Okay, SoFi's back. Let me just think out loud here, because SoFi above $8 gets really interesting to me tomorrow. I just want to write this down on my iPad. I find if I don't write this, if I don't put SoFi 8 on my iPad, then when I come in tomorrow, I'm going to get distracted by whatever the shiny new thing is that has a catalyst, and then forget about how big this level is. Come to my daily chart for a second. I just want you to understand like why I actually give a damn about this. This is the $8 level, more like it was like $7.89 or something like that on SoFi. So obviously a recent break of that level, holds on to 730 and is trying to reclaim it here. So that's a big level. I want to respect it. Time to punch out of Palantir. I'm just going to get out of Palantir there. But yeah, I like that level. Thank you very much, Steve G. Matt Carnes also mentioning a bit of a gap fill if it breaks that to 8 to 820. Those are all good tidbits. I'm adding that to my list. As I just said, Palantir had to come out. I think that's a very, very bullish pullback for Palantir, really only giving you 20 to 25 cents off a 16 pullback. It's not bad, but when the stock was up over $1, I was expecting more. I don't know who's on the bell, but whomever they are, they have now 10 seconds to ring the bell, and that's what it looks like in 6, 5, 4, 3. Well done, Cat. 2 and 1, ring it. Cat with the reflexes of a cat. That's my pun for you. It's been a fun one. You guys are going to enjoy it even more as we go to the recap show in just a second. But I will give it up to both Fabian and Remain working hard on the ones and twos, as they always do. The midday was an absolute banger as usual. We had the Professor, a little bit of Obi, Adara once again doing fantastic. What's crazy about that is you guys tell me, like how Adara's been on a week now, and she sounds like a seasoned trader. She's got the lingo down. She's remembering all the news stories like very well, the key prices from the day before. I'm incredibly impressed, and it's only going to get even better than that. Brennan is always bringing the news. I'm Neil, but you know where you're headed. You're going to be talking about Nike earnings. You've got Danielle Shea joining as a guest. Let's kick it on over to the market recap with Sean.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, welcome to the Market Recap Show as we are anxiously awaiting some big releases. So